Back in '01, I had a large, serious tractor accident, and I had spent 8 weeks in the hospital, and it was obvious that arthritis was starting to build up, and it got to a point where I was really dragging, uh, with my shoulder. It hurt, and I'd already had a hip replacement, which was also subsequent to the same accident. But the shoulder just systematically got worse and worse. And since it was my right hand, I could compensate with my left hand. But if you're right handed, you depend on your right hand. And I'm a vigorous person. I work from dawn till dark. And so I was slowing down quite a bit. And I knew people that had been, in and out and had replacements, and they were always satisfied with the results, and said, well, it's well worth doing it. Met Dr. Pollock on strong recommendations from people in the community, and the rest is kind of history. That was 2 days before Thanksgiving in November, a year and a half ago. Number one, he has a great attitude and a constant smile in terms of, we can do what needs to be done in such a way that it makes you feel comfortable. And attitude is really everything. I have trained probably up to 100 doctors at Rutgers University, so I'm familiar with their procedures, I'm familiar with their personalities, and we're very, very, very pleased with Dr. Pollock. The next day, we went home the next day, and I think I took 2 pain pills in the hospital, and that was it. I understand the mechanism of the tissue and the bones, and I understand how they used to do things. And what he did was probably the least destructive of tissue of anything you could do. It's a matter of separating things and going in and then backing out and letting it close up, which makes for a lot cleaner, neater recovery than the old-fashioned way where they cut in and then sewed everything up and backed out. You don't go home the next day after an operation like that. This is our home. And when somebody told me Dr. Pollock and his group, were very good, and that's about as good as you're going to get, and in a very positive way. And so that's how we went up with Dr. Pollock. And as soon as I shook hands with him, I could see the attitude, and that's, as I say, that's what I look for, is a person's attitude, and also the recommendations that came ahead of time. I didn't just happen to randomly pick somebody and wind up in Dr. Pollock's office. I mean, it was Dr. Vonderschmidt from Princeton and a few other people who very specifically zeroed in and said, he's a good man.